Hey, thanks for joining me for this episode of A Drink from Upstream. If you remember last week, I gave a book review over probably like 5 different books, a very specific kind of genre. And I mentioned that I might do that this week as well, and I'm going to. And so today's kind of general topic is the marriage relationship. Earlier this year, I learned about a new book that had been published called I Still Do. And I've got it right here. The author is Dave Harvey. And Dave Harvey is a tenured pastor, a very intelligent guy who's very good with a pen. And so he's a really intriguing, engaging author. And this book was written to couples who have been married for quite some time. And it's a reminder of what it is that they committed themselves to when they committed themselves to God and to one another. And I highly recommend this book. So I'm still trying to think about what I might do with this book with regard to City Point Church and such. I picked up there's a devotional that goes with it. I don't normally do that sort of thing, but Jesse and I are reading through this devotional. And again, I think really good information, really good content. Gives us a lot to think about, to talk about, and to pray about together. And there's a study guide that goes along with that as well. So the reason I was moving in this direction is because I wanted to find a new book that I would require premarital counseling couples to read. I have a couple of books that I recommend to them, kind of give them options, but I've never felt totally satisfied with that. So I set about trying to find that book. And so when I read Dave Harvey's book, I Still Do, I then I learned that he had written a book several years earlier called When Sinners Say I Do. Not probably the most intriguing title in the wide world, but it actually is a great book. But it became clear to me pretty early in the book that this would not be the book that I would recommend to premarital counseling couples. And so I continued to search, and I found a book by Rob Green called Tying the Knot. And for those of you that are counselor types or pastor types who are looking for a resource, this, my friends, is the new recommended book, required book reading for anybody that I will do a marriage ceremony for as a pastor. It is, Rob Green's a good author. He's intelligent. What I like about it is very sound theological. It's not just a pragmatic book about marriage. He's very sound theologically. He's grounded in the Bible himself, and then his counsel is very grounded biblically. But it also is comprehensive. It's covering kind of the array of major topics that a couple that's planning on getting married needs to work through before they say I do. And so Tying the Knot is a really solid book. That's my recommended book for premarital counseling at this point. So that's a good book. Anybody that's thinking about getting married or is married, I would recommend that book. It's a great, especially if you've never been through a comprehensive premarital counseling setting. This is the book that I would recommend, this When Sinners Say I Do. If you're married and you've been married for just a couple of years, this is the book that you should read next. That will help you understand what you've gotten yourself into and lead you toward really developing a vibrant, healthy, and happy marriage. And then for couples who have been married for quite some time, I would say north of 10 years. It could be earlier than that as well, but north of 10 years, read that book, I Still Do. It is a worthy book. And hey, if you're going to read that book, best would be to read it with your spouse. Maybe not out loud to one another. That would be perfectly fine as well. But buy 2 copies. Each of you read it and then have things to talk about, have things to discuss together. And so a lot of book reviews these days. Hopefully that's helpful for you, give you something to look into, give you another resource. So that's it for this episode of A Drink from Upstream. And I hope you have a great day. God bless you.